Hey folks, Rich here. This is the second clip of the deploying your contact tracer from Brighter Days app solution. This step covers the Power Automate nightly task that moves any signed in items to signed out status, moves from the contact list to the contact list archive. It's just put in as a way to tidy up activities if people don't get a chance to sign themselves out. It's just, people will forget, so it's there for that. It is a self-contained workflow, pretty simple to deploy it. A couple of changes needed on deployment, very similar to the changes we had to make for the deploying the list. We need a variable of the site collection plus just to double check on the owner permissions. We do run some item level security on archiving items so that essentially people can't edit stuff once it's gone in. Only owners can access and pull out records of people. So let's show you how to deploy it. Any questions, just ping me. All right, so we're going to go back to My Flows and we're going to import. Wait for that to import again, depending on your connection speed. Not going too bad. I'm pairing off my phone at the moment. All right, so nightly archive could be called to nightly archive in your environment, but again, I can see down here my import button's just halfway hidden. But let that import, don't exit the screen. And then once imported, we'll change the name as required to match your customer. So make sure we go grey, and again change your connection to match your SharePoint connection. Easy as that, and then push the blue import button. Alright, so we're all imported, green lights, same as the last flow. Go back to click My Flows to review the activity. If it doesn't show up straight away, just click refresh. It does happen. We move quicker than Flow can move sometimes, or Power Automate can move. Alright, so it's demo contact tracing nightly archive. Let's edit that. Alright, so we'll just see it's going to run 3:15 at night every day in our time zone. Adjust that if needed. Same as the last flow, we need to put in our URL. Yeah, I know we don't really want to have a look at the lists, but let's click that, otherwise it will haunt me for life. Go back to flow, whack in your site collection name, current time, don't have to worry about. There's a couple of changes you do have to make in this step: HTTP get confidential group or get the owners group. What you've got to work through here is get the friendly name of your owners group. So in my site collection, it's called COVID-19, so my site collection group is COVID-19 owners. If you want to see how to get that, jump into SharePoint, cog in the upper right, site permissions, click on advanced site permission settings. This is a comms site, so it's got it set up that way, and I can see that's my owners group, right? So what we're going to do is, part of this workflow, as we archive items, we're going to move out the contact tracing list and we're going to push them into the contact tracing archive list. Everybody's got to contribute to, or the everybody group has got to contribute access to the archive list, but on creation of an item, we remove permissions for that individual item and just reset for the owners. So just got to double check that your site is listed correctly in the HTTP call to that REST endpoint. Okay, owners group ID is going to come through. Basically, out of that we get the ID, and that gives us the ID, which is the variable for the ID group. Then we're going to go and get any of the items against our site prefix, contact tracing, and then anyone that's signed in, because this runs at 3:15 in the morning, right? So don't run this mid-afternoon as a test if it's already live, because it will sign out people that are already signed in. If you want to do it, if you want to check anything, then run a different process without that filter, or just double check that you're not going to accidentally sign a bunch of people out that don't need to be signed out. Okay, but it's contact tracing. We get the items from contact tracing, build an array of all of those, then we create an item. We just need to make changes through here because it's still linked back to the last tenant I deployed to. So I need to make sure I'm going to pick my own site, and I'm selecting create item in the contact tracing archive, and then that will grab all the fields. Depending on what fields, this new tenant doesn't use the bubble name option, but we've got room and building so it's not required for this one, but it does. This is a column, but it's just empty. Then make sure you adjust your delete. What I've found with these requests, like you can put in the site prefix for get items and stuff, but for things like create item, if I put the prefix in there, I've got to manually put in the name of the list, and it doesn't necessarily pick up all the fields, so it kind of gets confused. So better to keep that just using the in out of box. Select the site collection, select the list, and then it does work through the fields that it wants. It's one of those odd things, but yeah, you just got to change those particular columns. This one here, again, we've got the prefix. We know the list in SharePoint is called that. We've got the ID of the item already. So what we're doing is breaking role inheritance. We're removing the role assignments and we're clearing out the subscopes. So it makes it empty except for the site owners. And then we add back the site owner group with the principal ID of the site owner group is the ID of the group. And then that's the output that we got from here, from these two steps. We add back the ID against that particular list item ID in contact tracing archive, and we set them to have full control of that, but it's just that ownership group. And so with those changes, you can save it, and then it's sitting there running, ready to go. It will run every night at 3 in the morning, 3:14 in the morning. Or you can put any time you want it, but just make sure it's going to be out of hours. If you find you're working on it's a shift-based organization, then you may not want to enable this workflow, just because you might have people working at 3 in the morning and you don't want to sign them out straight away. So in that situation, let us know and we can adjust the workflow to expire people or sign people out 8 hours after their last sign or something similar to that. Okay. Hope this helps. Any questions, just ping me. Thanks.